Jack Nicholson for The Last Detail in Chinatown.
To have been chosen Best Actor by the Society this year for my performance in Chinatown. I'd like to thank Madam President and the rest of the members of the Society for this great honor. I wish that I could be with you there in Albert Hall, but as you can see, I've been institutionalized here in Oregon while filming One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with some friends of mine. I understand, however, that Misters Polanski and Town are with you in the audience this evening, and I'm sure that they will take this opportunity to thank Miss Dunaway themselves and the rest of the cast and crew of Chinatown for their contributions. Mr. Town, Mr. Polanski, if you would, please.
Hello. Excuse me for interrupting, but Mr. Nicholson has to come with me now.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
In 1975, one of the most powerful and interesting films in Hollywood in the 20th century, Miloš Forman's masterpiece One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was released. The main role was played by recognized actor at that time Jack Nicholson.
Why writer Ken Kesey never saw the movie. How director Miloš Forman rearranged the accents in the tape. Who changed communication with McMurphy. And what is the point of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
The meaning of Miloš Forman's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest lies on the surface. His painting is an allegory for the state as an apparatus of violence and repression. He quotes exactly St. Augustine, who once said, "The state is a human creation. Its purpose is temporary. It is created by violence and is maintained by coercion." And One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest is an allegory for a society that, despite all the efforts and aspirations for freedom, is forced to live in the existing system of complete control of the individual. The essence of the film is to demonstrate the model of such a society. Each of the characters in the picture personifies the different social roles of people in society. Sister Ratched is the state, more precisely it is part of the system which, with the outward appearance of care, governs society through an authoritarian order. One of the patients, Dale Harding, is a typical man of the system. He lives by her rules and does not accept any changes. Because he wants to exist in his comfort zone. He is ready for change, but only as long as the system allows him to do so. Billy is a typical victim. He is suppressed not only by the state, but also by the environment in the person of his mother. Murphy for him is an external spokesman for his deepest protest. He could not go beyond the system. He was too weak for that. His attempt ended tragically. Charlie Cheswick is a weak-willed and weak-willed person, suppressed by the state and relegated to its backyards. The leader, pretending to be deaf and dumb, voluntarily remains within the framework of the system and remains unnoticed by it. The rest of the inhabitants of the clinic are a typical gray mass, making decisions depending on the circumstances. Murphy is a passionate person, ready for decisive action and not wanting to be part of such a system. From the point of view of the system itself, he is a marginal and dangerous element. The characters in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest voluntarily accept the rules of the game imposed on them. An attempt to defend their interests comes down to ordinary consumption. Of all the heroes, only the leader could cross the line. The main idea of the film One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest sounds like this. The system is primarily in the head, but it can be broken by knowing the nature of freedom as one of the main principles of human existence. There is another interpretation of the picture. Murphy told everyone he wanted to run away, and that's why he didn't succeed. The leader, without telling anyone about his plans, at the very end of the film said, "I am ready," and, acting on the principle of here and now, left the hospital. We are talking about excess potential, When you prepare for a long time and really want it, the event does not occur. There is such a psychological trap. Talking about his plans, a person gets pleasure, as if he had already done everything he wanted. Therefore, one of the meanings of the film may be in the phrase, "Don't tell anyone about your plans." The creator is a vulnerable being. Well, who will be happy if your idea is taken and twisted? In the book, the whole story is told by a huge representative of the indigenous nationality of the United States, who was seriously mocked at the clinic. 200 sessions of electric shock are no joke to you. Either a permanent electric shock is the cause, or the voices of the ancestors. But the Indian Brahmin considers himself a psychic, penetrating the essence of things. It's in the book. In the film, Brandon is just a silent mountain with a mouth, and the only main character was Randall Patrick Murphy. Moreover, in the film, Murphy is a charismatic, friendly, but still criminal and slow, and not the personification of the fiery-haired Christ sacrificing himself to the flock, as in the book. That's even in the neck brace she wore after Murphy's attempt to avenge Billy's death. Big Sister didn't change a bit. The Iron Lady remained her. Billy changed for one night and a few moments of triumph when his buddies applauded him. I even stopped stuttering. Never again will the unfortunate boy be ready to leave the madhouse, because he passed away, killed by the reinforced concrete principles of the Big Sister, the best friend of his despotic mother, who pushed her son into the cuckoo's nest. Patients have changed, smelling freedom from Randall, going fishing with a breeze, going to the last party. How long? Freedom was gained only by Chief Brandon, who broke the window and followed the path once shown by a dead friend. How terrible is a lobotomy? The heyday of this brain-crushing procedure came in the 30s of the 20th century, when the Portuguese Gasmanas thought of it. This progressive doctor made a small hole in the patient's skull and inserted a wire with a loop through it. He twisted and turned a piece of iron in the brains of the poor fellow, thereby breaking the connections of the frontal lobes of the brain with all other lobes. The process was beautifully called prefrontal lobotomy. After such a blending of the contents of the skull, the patient became obedient. True, in terms of intelligence it was adequate to a 2-year-old child, but it is manageable. Even the sister of President Kennedy underwent a similar beneficial operation. The 20-year-old young lady was impudent, with the inclinations of a nymphomaniac. After the lobotomy, the mutilated girl moved to a wheelchair, and she lived her long life as a brainless vegetable.
I hope I helped you find the meaning of the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, as well as understand its ending. If you have a different vision of the film, write your version in the comments.